It's Monday, April 20th. This is CTV at 6. Here's what's making news tonight. The gas tax dips, but fuel costs are blamed for a jump in the inflation rate. From splitting a power pole to hitting an office tower, it's been a bad few days for buses.
Cooler temperatures and low shower chances expected for much of this week.
Live from our Maritime's News Center, this is CTV News at 6. Here is Todd Battis.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. We begin with the economy tonight. The price of a liter of gasoline dropped by 11.5 cents a liter overnight in the Maritimes, mostly due to that cut in the federal gas tax. Some relief after March saw what was the largest monthly fuel increase ever recorded. Now, that combined with food prices pushed up the inflation rate 2.4% last month. CTV's Jonathan McGinnis reports.
Surging fuel costs are being blamed for an increase in inflation for March. The ongoing U.S.-Israel war with Iran is expected to continue to force costs upward.
We're still looking at a scenario the longer this goes on and the more damage that might occur of irreparable damage that could take us into not just days or weeks or months, but in fact years.
In the last month, Stats Canada data shows a 21.2% jump in gasoline prices. That's the highest monthly increase ever recorded. 13.1% in energy costs. Transportation and non-durable goods rose 4.2% and 3.2% respectively. Overall, food inflation slowed to 4.4% in March, down from 5.4% in February. The exception is for fresh produce, which was up almost 8%.
Groceries are very sensitive to increases in transportation costs, and fresh fruit and vegetables is where that's going to show up first because they're being transported on such a short timeline.
There was some relief Monday. The suspension of the federal excise tax on fuel is now in effect, dropping gas prices by 11.5 cents a litre in Nova Scotia.
This is probably as good as it gets. The $1.67 you're seeing in Nova Scotia, the $1.75 in PEI, the $1.72 in New Brunswick.
Consumers would like to see the federal government go even further.
People need more money in their pockets going forward. And if it's lower taxes or whatever, that's what's required to fix the economy and get it moving.
Stats Canada says if gas was taken out of the formula, inflation would have come in at 2.2%. And Todd, these March inflation numbers will play a role as the Bank of Canada settles on its upcoming interest rate decision. That will be released, Todd, April 29th.
All right, thank you, John. At the pumps in Halifax right now, and could inflation impact home sales? We will look at that a little later in the show. New Brunswick Premier Susan Holt is in Ottawa today, where she met with the Prime Minister to discuss big projects. Speaking briefly ahead of their meeting, the two leaders talked about progress on a number of files, such as the Sisson Mine project, health infrastructure, and the possibility of expanded energy corridors on the East Coast. Premier Holt was pitching the province, saying it has what the world needs, and she would like the Prime Minister to let everyone know.
We have the trade infrastructure in our ports to get those assets out to the world who wants this at a time when our allies are looking for new and different relationships. And so looking forward to those conversations about how we grow the New Brunswick economy and the kind of jobs that are going to pay the bills in our province to the benefit of all of Canada.
During her two-day trip, Holt will meet with cabinet ministers and attend a Chamber of Commerce conference with other premiers. In a span of a couple of days, a Halifax transit bus hit and split a power pole. Then another one crashed into a downtown office building. Tonight, a woman is recounting her frightening near-miss encounter with that runaway bus. CTV's Calvin Smith has her story.
Holly Scher has a one-of-a-kind tale about her life flashing before her eyes.
There is absolutely no way in hell I'd be standing here right now if it weren't for that tree.
She was leaving work at Purdy's Wharf Friday evening, taking her daily route.
I was looking at my phone, trying to find a podcast, and I was distracted, and then I looked up, and there was a bus like 6 feet away from me, barreling towards me.
That Halifax transit bus was parked on Reconciliation Way out of service, meaning no one was on board, not even the driver. but it started rolling downhill.
When he reached in the window to turn off the engine, the bus began rolling down Upper Water Street and came to a stop once it hit a tree. The tree then broke and hit Purdy's Wharf Tower number 1.
Shattering a few windows. The bus charging through Upper Water Street, miraculously not hitting any vehicles or people.
It came to a stop on that tree, which didn't seem possible. It made a very loud noise.
According to police, the driver suffered minor injuries from trying to catch the bus as it rolled. Cher says he too
was really in shock. Kind of had glass shards all over him, so I helped him kind of pick a few off his hat.
But it was a close call for Cher, only having a split second to process it, thinking,
what a stupid way to die.
CTV asked Halifax Transit if there was a mechanical failure and about damage to the bus. The transit service declined an interview, saying their investigation is ongoing. The property management company at Purdy's Wharf wasn't available for an interview today, but at 6:30 on a Friday evening with a bus rolling through a busy intersection.
Everyone's very lucky that there was no further incident or any other injuries involved in this in the collision.
It's important to not walk around staring at your phone. It looks dumb, and it is dumb. So I'm going to be more careful.
Callum Smith, CTV News, Halifax.
Several communities are in states of emergency as flooding hits central Ontario. Now, the news is better in New Brunswick. Still, eyes are on the rising water levels. Some areas have hit the flood stage or are about to. We get the latest now from CTV's Nick Moore.
Tonight, a flood warning is in effect for Fredericton. Warm temperatures and rain over the weekend caused the river here to rise faster than expected. Dave Banks is with Fredericton EMO.
We're currently at level 1, which is enhanced monitoring. That way there, we're keeping a close eye on the water levels.
Several trails along the river in Fredericton have been blocked off, and City Hall says Bourke Lane, McMinimum Court, and the Upper Queen Street parking lot will be affected next if the river does hit flood stage here. Fredericton should hit flood stage by tomorrow morning.
It should not impact traffic flow to a significant degree. A lot of these areas are prone to flooding every year. They're low-lying near riverbanks.
There are flood warnings, watches, and advisories on the St. John River, both above and below the Mactaquac Dam, including a flood warning in effect tonight in the village of Gagetown, which is expected to hit flood stage and stay above it for the rest of the week. Paul Bradley of New Brunswick EMO says a change in the weather can change everything.
What we are seeing in the upper branches is that things seem to have peaked there, and things will be peaking in the lower St. John over the next day or two. Water levels are going to stay significantly high for a while. It's going to take time for things to kind of flush out the system.
New Brunswick EMO has also forecast a flood warning tomorrow in Majorville and Gemsag. Nick Moore, CTV News, Fredericton.
And there is a live look at Fredericton right now, and you can see the St. John River along the top of the frame there, and it looks like it's certainly staying within its boundaries. Let's bring in CTV meteorologist Kaylin Mitchell. We heard a bit about what they're expecting, the EMO mentioning it, Kaylin, but is the forecast going to offer any relief to them in central New Brunswick?
Yeah, I mean, I think they like the looks of the forecast so far for this week because there isn't a lot of significant rain expected at this time. There are periods of this week where there's a chance of some lighter showers developing and moving through, but again, not a lot more as far as rain goes in the forecast moving into the weekend to feed into that river system. Now, they did, of course, have some rain last week and at the end of this past weekend, and you can see some of the rainfall amounts that arrived for parts of New Brunswick with that latest weather front that crossed the Maritimes, and for that province it was between around 15 and 25 millimeters. 15 millimeters reported in areas like Maces Bay as well as Sussex, 17 millimeters in around the Fredericton area, and then up towards the northwest, Edmundston at around 25 millimeters of rain. Western parts of Prince Edward Island picked up some rainfall amounts between around 10 and 20 millimeters. Much lower rainfall amounts, though, reported around the Charlottetown area and into the east of that province. And for the province of Nova Scotia, most of the rainfall amounts from that weather system came within the range for around 5 to 15 millimeters. Taking a look at things on radar and satellite. Speaking of some showers, there are still some scattered showers going on right now through southern areas of New Brunswick. Those will gradually be winding down as we make our way through this evening and towards midnight. A lot of those driven by some daytime heating for today. There'll also be a general clearing trend for the Maritime region for tonight. So if you're looking to take advantage of that, do some night sky viewing. It's a waxing crescent moon. That'll be viewable over the western horizon this evening. The Lyra's meteor shower is active right now. In fact, it's at its peak, and the radiation radiant point is near the star Vega, which will be rising over the northeastern horizon basically during the overnight, so rising to its highest point in the sky as we're moving past midnight. Sometimes with this meteor shower, up to 10 to 18 meteors per hour are visible. You need to have patience. You need to find a real good dark spot if you can. The aurora unlikely to be observed tonight. There is a quick pass from the International Space Station from the southeast to the east at 4:20 a.m. tomorrow morning. Todd.
All right, thank you, Kalen. We're hearing from the man fined tens of thousands of dollars for violating a woods ban last year. He's calling a court decision a victory for individual rights and freedoms. The judge ruled the Nova Scotia government acted unreasonably when it imposed the ban during wildfire season. CTV's Jesse Thomas reports.
The decision came Friday on the 44th anniversary of the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms and during the early stages of this year's wildfire season.
I had a sense that he was understanding our side of the argument.
Jeff Evely entered the woods near his home in Sydney, Nova Scotia, shortly after the province banned access to the woods. During last year's wildfire season, Evely was fined more than $28,000 for doing so. It was deliberate. He streamed it live on social media so he could challenge the travel ban in court, arguing it violated his charter rights.
And there was absolutely nothing in the record provided by the government anywhere that showed that they had even mentioned the charter rights, let alone carefully considered the impact of the proclamation to them.
Justice Jamie Campbell agreed in his decision, saying the judicial review was not about the emergency the province faced from the wildfire threat and the extremely dry conditions, but about how the woods ban decision was made. The issue here is not about the balancing of community safety and individual rights, wrote Campbell. It's about the decision-making process. The court heard the province move to restrict access to protect the woods from fire risk, but found no evidence that government officials considered the charter rights of ordinary users of the woods. The Supreme Court of Canada has held that when a decision that limits charter rights or engages charter values does not consider those rights or values, the decision is unreasonable. The Canadian Constitution Foundation, who also challenged the ban, says the decision should serve as a reminder to governments.
If they're going to take extreme measures, they need to take people's charter rights into account, and they need to find ways to accommodate things like people's freedom of movement. And they didn't do that in this particular order, and that's the main problem.
Evely told CTV News he expects his fine to be ripped up. The Department of Natural Resources didn't respond by the story deadline. Jesse Thomas, CTV News, Halifax.
What do you think? That's our web poll tonight. We're asking the question, do you agree with the court ruling that Nova Scotia's 2025 woods ban was unreasonable? A simple yes or no will do it. And you can vote at ctvnewsatlantic.ca. The poll is up now. Nuclear energy officials from Ontario are on site at New Brunswick's Point Lepreau nuclear generating station in hopes of getting the site running on a more consistent and efficient basis. A 3-year partnership began at the start of the month, just days before the station went offline for a planned 119-day outage. That began on April 10th. The partnership's goal is for engineers from Ontario, the only other province in Canada with nuclear generating stations, to give officials at Lepreau tips on how to make the site run more efficiently. The deal is worth $25 million a year.
The investments we're doing right now, they did that years ago. So they're reaping the rewards now. So I'm just hoping, I'm confident that we're going to see some of those results. We have a federal government that has clearly indicated that they want to have new nuclear outside of Ontario before 2035. We're the most ready jurisdiction to have that.
Since 2022, NB Power has spent over $800 million in upgrades to the site. Each day the site is offline, costs the utility over $1 million. Online, the military has hit a 30-year high in recruiting new sailors and soldiers, but is it enough? You can read more at ctvnewsatlantic.ca. 2 weeks from today, New Brunswickers will vote for municipal leaders, and there are some interesting races for mayor in some of the province's larger areas. Province-wide elections on May 11th will fill positions in local councils, rural district committees, and education councils. Elections MB tells us there are many factors that influence what the final voter turnout is going to be like.
In these elections, we have quite a few contests for mayors where there are 3 or more people that are running for that pivotal position in their communities, whether you're looking at, Tracadie, Miramichi, Fredericton, Moncton, Dieppe. So that in itself can lend to a little bit more of excitement.
Paul Harpel, who you just heard from, says Elections MB has 18 returning offices with staff training for advanced polling and for Election Day. And speaking of local leaders, the town of St. Andrews is mourning the loss of acting Mayor Catherine Kate Akaki, who passed away over the weekend. In a statement this afternoon, the town of St. Andrews says Akagi always had a positive outlook and showed kindness to all. She was the first Indigenous mayor of the seaside community and the second woman to hold the position. Details around her death are not known. She was inducted into the Order of New Brunswick 3 years ago.
And whether it's done in our
Get the Maritime's top stories, breaking news alerts, and watch live. Download the CTV News app.
We've heard of the efforts to train and recruit family doctors and nurses in our region, but the need for surgeons is every bit as dire. And with that in mind, a program in Halifax is letting students try their hand at the skills needed to save lives. CTV's Emma Convey takes a look.
You could be looking at your future doctor, surgeon, or cardiologist.
That's us right there. We're suturing, so we're going through the pork. We're sewing through, so it was nice to work with hands-on, something for real.
Students 13 to 18 learn and practice surgical skills. It's a course designed to not only inspire interest in medicine, but give kids the opportunity to gain the knowledge and techniques firsthand.
Your hands in.
It all starts with scrubbing in, to allow them to picture themselves in the role of a surgeon.
We teach injections and IVs and phlebotomy. We have airway stuff that we teach and vitals.
Today's lesson, suturing and hand tying, led by pediatric cardiac surgeon David Horn, who has volunteered for 2 years with this program.
In 15 years, I won't be a surgeon anymore. We need new surgeons to do the work. The more we plant the seed, the earlier we plant the seed, the longer the tree has time to throw roots. And for how tough the training is and how long it takes to do that, you need roots and passion.
He says it's an opportunity to expand the medical world to youth who may not have considered medicine.
To cut through it like I'm cooking.
The program launched fall of 2024. It started as an idea by medical student Abigail Greek.
Reading through different pieces of literature, a lot of research showed that one, diversity in healthcare is very, very important, and two, that there's still lots of gaps.
So she partnered with the Boys and Girls Club of Greater Halifax to provide free classes to students, each taking place at Dalhousie University.
All that we try to do in any programming that we offer, whether that be for youth who are 13 plus, or even for children who are ages 4 to 12, all we're trying to do is provide them opportunity that they might not otherwise have and that can open doors for their futures.
Classes are every Saturday. The team alternates between 2 programs, future heart surgeons and exploring the field of surgery. Each student comes for their own reasons.
I really wanted to know what it feels like to be a surgeon.
It's always good to get new skills that you can apply to the real world.
I was over there with the hand tying thing. I can't lie, I had my troubles with it, but I eventually got it.
Skills that will open doors for the future. Emma Convey, CTV News, Halifax.
Time for our first break on this Monday evening. Still to come, Kalen has some, chilly details as he looks at the weather week ahead. But first, fewer babies, more retirees. It's a troubling trend.
They need people that have got, that are willing to learn. They're willing to pick up a trade.
New Brunswick is facing a serious demographic crunch that could cost the province. We have the details next. The birth rate in New Brunswick is one of the lowest in Canada, and the retirement rate is high and it's growing. CTV's Laura Brown has more on what this could mean for the province's workforce.
This is Bathurst, New Brunswick. The median age used to be 23.
It's now 53. A problem, says this economist.
Making sure that, 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 years from now, if you go to Bathurst, there's actually people living in Bathurst.
Far from the baby boom, today more people in New Brunswick are dying every year than being born. David Campbell authored a new report finding the real impact will be felt within the next decade, when 20% of the workforce retires.
This is a community survival issue. We have communities that within 10 years across New Brunswick, across Atlantic Canada, where 50% of the population are going to be over the age of 65.
He projects healthcare will need to fill 30,100 jobs by 2035, construction 16,300, and retail 13,100.
5-10 years, if something doesn't change, it will become a serious issue.
Tom McGinn said they're already having trouble finding workers in construction, and the demand for new homes, roads, and bridges is only building. The key, trying to convince young people to seek employment in the trades.
You can make good money.
My wife said it was time for me to go and do something, so.
At 66, Barry Martin is trying to help in his own way. The retiree returned to the workforce after only a few years and now helps build ambulances.
They need me more than I need them. They need people. They need people that have got, are willing to learn. They're willing to pick up a trade.
David Campbell says immigration will be critical to rebuilding the workforce and hopes the federal government becomes more flexible on its policies, allowing certain parts of the country more permanent residents where the need is greater. Laura Brown, CTV News, Fredericton.
Another break now. Up next, some cooler temperatures ahead, but there is some sun on the way Tuesday. It will be cooler, but Kaylin says you will see the sun. So tell us about it next. Well, it looks pleasant in Bedak right now. You weren't kidding. It's chilly, 1 degree.
Got to add a 0 in there. 10 degrees. Make it a little bit better.
or maybe a 2 in front of that 1. But yeah, certainly a pleasant-looking evening in Bedak.
Yeah, so the theme for weather for much of this week for the Maritime, so we do have some temperatures that are a bit below average for heading into late April. Yeah. You're especially going to feel it at the nights and first thing in the morning when I describe conditions as being chilly, maybe even cold for a few parts of the regions. We'll get into that when we get to our forecast.
Well, yeah, it's certainly unlike what they're seeing in the prairies.
Well, I want to say these are the type of 20s that they want to see in Alberta.
Yeah.
Not 20 centimeters of snow in the forecast, but
fair enough,
20 degrees. So quite a turnaround in through the prairies. Remember, they had that big spring snow system make its way through last week. Now, though, it's got low 20s there in Edmonton and Calgary, and 17 in Saskatoon, 15 in Regina right now with some sunshine, and 14 at Winnipeg. Looking at the north, it's a mix of sun and cloud at Whitehorse right now, sitting at 5 degrees. It's chillier at Yellowknife, sitting at -4 with a mix of sun and cloud, and colder at Iqaluit, sitting at -11. In southern Ontario, they're looking at a week that doesn't have a lot of significant rain in the forecast right now, and they want it to stay that way because they are contending with their own flooding issues in parts of that province, as well as through parts of southern Quebec. And then, of course, here in the Maritimes, we're going to be keeping a close eye on the St. John River system as we make our way through this week. 5 right now at Fredericton, 7 at Halifax, 4 at Charlottetown, 15 degrees, so milder at the moment in St. John's. Taking a look at the timeline for cloud cover and precipitation. So there's a scattered mixture of some showers and some flurries in place across southern New Brunswick at this hour. Some of those showers maybe even drifting into northern areas of Nova Scotia, parts of Cumberland and Colchester counties. A lot of that is being driven by the fact that we had some sun that broke through for today. It's heating things up near the surface. It's getting some updrafts going, and there's some cooler air sitting aloft. So that's that combination that kind of produces that scattered mixture of some pop-up showers and flurries. So those should be winding down as we make our way towards midnight. A clearing trend for a good portion of the Maritime, so remaining partly cloudy for the province of Nova Scotia. In the forecast for tomorrow, moving into the afternoon, a mix of sun and cloud around the region. And in Nova Scotia in the afternoon, some spotty sort of pop-up showers and flurries expected to develop in the afternoon hours. Now, the coverage of those is going to be quite isolated, so for most communities, it's about a 20 or 30% chance of a passing shower during the day. Winds generally out of the north for both tonight and for tomorrow, and sustained 10 to 20 kilometers per hour. Maybe the occasional gusts getting up between 20 and 30, but in general, the wind on Tuesday is expected to be a little bit lighter than it was today. Low temperatures in the forecast for tonight. There it is. All lows headed down towards, or at least a few degrees below the freezing mark and several degrees below zero for parts of New Brunswick, and even colder than that up around the northwest of that province. So it's really the northern half of New Brunswick for tomorrow that's going to have the chilliest start to the day, but it'll be brisk across the Maritime region. High temperatures tomorrow afternoon for communities in the north of New Brunswick. Most will be around 4-5 degrees. Down through central and southern parts of the province, the high temperatures between 4 and 8 degrees, including 8 around McAdam and St. Stephen, 6 for St. John, 7 degrees for Fredericton for tomorrow, and 5 for Moncton. Prince Edward Island with high temperatures low single digits on Tuesday. So looking at 3 for O'Leary, 2 for Summerside, Cavendish, 3 for Charlottetown, and then 2 for Montague. In Cape Breton, high temperatures tomorrow in the range of 2 to 5 degrees. On the north shore of mainland Nova Scotia, closer to 4 degrees. On the eastern shore of Nova Scotia, high temperatures between 4 and 6. 6 for Truro for tomorrow, and for Amherst, and for the city centers, Halifax and Dartmouth. In the Annapolis Valley, high temperatures closer to 5 degrees, including for Kentville, Wolfville area, and Middleton. On the south shore of Nova Scotia, 7 for Liverpool and Shelburne, and 6 for Yarmouth. In the extended forecast, so somewhat cooler temperatures extend through the end of this week for New Brunswick. We do get into a chance of showers for both Thursday as well as Friday and the start of the weekend. May turn the corner on the temperatures at the end of the weekend to the start of next week. Some indications there. Some of the long-range forecast models, the temperatures may start to trend a little bit higher. For Nova Scotia in the forecast, we have a chance of showers coming up through both Thursday and Friday, as well as for the start of the weekend, and then hopefully gradual climb in temperatures through the end of the weekend and into the start of next week. And for Prince Edward Island in the outlook as well, some sunshine in the forecast for Wednesday. Temperatures still cool though. Then a chance of showers for Thursday, Friday, and the start of the weekend on Saturday. It's followed by a mix of sun and cloud Sunday and Monday. Todd.
Yep, it's a chilly week. Okay, we'll see you later in the show. Next, home sales are slow, listings are low. We'll talk about how this is impacting the local real estate scene after this.
I'm Brianna Foley at the Scotiabank Centre in Halifax, where Stars on Ice is performing. We catch up with a couple of Olympians in the show. That's coming up tonight on The Scene.
Okay, so Virgin Radio's 5K a day has kicked off for you. Chance to win $5,000 daily.
Those keywords start at the 7 a.m. hour.
And tomorrow at 7:30 is your shot at 2 tickets to the Great Outdoors Comedy Fest.
Welcome back on this Monday evening. The inflation report that we heard about earlier in the show is reviving questions about, could the Bank of Canada adjust interest rates? All of that, of course, has an impact on the real estate market. Early spring activity shows slower sales, lower listings in the region, especially in Halifax. Royal LePage has released its results of the first quarter activity and forecast for 2026. Matthew Hansberger is president of Royal LePage Atlantic. We have him in studio tonight. Good to see you.
Nice to see you too, Todd. Yeah, absolutely.
So do you think there's anything to that? Could we see some movement in rates?
It's interesting because I think there's such a difference in the way that inflation's happening this time. It's about geopolitical events. It's not about an increased amount of demand that the bank has to sort of tamper down here. So, what I've read so far is that generally there's going to be a little bit more caution before rates start to come back up to fight that inflation.
So what do you say to buyers who are sitting on the sidelines, money in hand, they get the approval from the bank to go out and buy? Are they cautious? Are they sitting back?
Everyone's a little cautious right now, right? And I understand it. Like, there's been all kinds of talks about employment, whether people are going to still have jobs, how tariffs are going to affect the world, things like that. But, one of the things that I've seen over my, 22 years in the real estate business and studying it for longer than that is that it's a good investment in yourself, right? And so if you're waiting to time a real estate market, it's very different than the stock market. The power of time and slowly paying off this massive asset over time is really what you should do. And so kind of leaning in, it's really, we have a saying, of course, we're in real estate, that it's never a bad time to buy real estate. But honestly, it's been 100 years and it's proven to be true every time. So,
let's talk about the Halifax market, the largest in the region. It's always been sort of that low and slow, steady. It's been pretty wild the last few years.
Absolutely, yeah.
it's quiet right now?
Yeah, definitely. You know, the people who are moving are the people who kind of have to move for some sort of lifestyle. You know, they've had a new job, they've had a baby, they've had, you know, kids go off to university or whatever.
Yeah.
And,
military transfers, we see a lot of that.
Yeah, exactly. So those are the people that are moving. The speculative moving, the, you know, it'd be nice if we had a little bit bigger house or whatever. Those people are kind of sitting on the sidelines right now.
Okay. So. Where's the threshold for price right now in terms of where we are for a single detached, let's say, detached?
Yeah, right on the 600,000 mark is sort of our average price right now, and you know, first-time buyers are under that price point. Obviously, the sort of 550 and under tends to still be pretty busy. Once you get over that 600, it's a little less predictable. Like you have houses that go on the market that you think, yeah, that one should sell pretty quickly, and it sits there for a little while, and then houses that go on the market that you know, maybe you thought, I don't know about that one, but it goes right away.
Are you surprised a bit at the fact that okay, so there's less inventory on the market?
Yes.
Sales are a little slower. Prices really haven't done much. Like you said, they've just kind of been parked, and there's not a lot of movement on them.
That's right. Yeah, usually you would see that if there's less demand, which we've seen less transactions happening, suggests a little less demand right now. Prices come down to meet, to kind of manufacture that demand. We haven't seen that at all. And so what I would suggest is that as much as buyers are sitting on their hands, so are the sellers. Like, you know, we've seen a big run up over the last 5 years. They've got equity in their homes. They're saying, okay, well, we'll just stick here rather than, you know, we're forced to come down and hit a price that we don't want to necessarily hit.
And you don't necessarily see the empty nesters leaving those big family homes because where are they going to go? The prices are elevated even on the smaller places.
You know, I joke a lot of times that my parents are an example of this. My dad and stepmom live in Collingwood, Ontario. They have a 3-level townhouse with tons of stairs in it. They're in their early 80s, and they're not going anywhere, right? And so that does keep some of that housing stuff from being unlocked for first-time or move-up buyers. And, you know, that's definitely something new for this generation that you're seeing that.
We hear about lower levels of immigration and migration between the provinces coming to the East Coast. What kind of impact is that having?
It's a real impact, I would say. So, you know, like the market is a continuum, right? So we need people coming to the province who are going to enter the rental market. They eventually will save up some money, get bigger jobs, better jobs, more high-paying jobs, and then they eventually become your first-time buyers and then move-up buyers, etc. And so when you have less people going through the system, it really does make it difficult for the market to really thrive.
Are there any other factors, you know, beyond that in terms of people who may be coming into the region, like land transfer tax?
Yeah, certainly, you know, a portion of our market is, you know, recreational cottage properties, and this non-resident deed transfer tax that we have right now, I think has run its course at this point, and probably it's time for us to revisit whether or not that still makes sense. Those people contribute. So if they have to pay an extra 10% to own a property here, we've got lots of ideas how to make that still work for the province while still, well, obviously loosening the market for those a little bit. But along the South Shore of Nova Scotia, that's a real harmful piece.
I mentioned at the top that the Royal LePage report sort of casts its gaze towards the coming quarters.
Yep.
Do you expect things to open up? What do you see for the, again, maybe the litmus test is Halifax for the region?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that of course we'll see a seasonal uptake here over the next few months. We always see that in the spring. You know, whether it gets to the levels that we've seen in the previous few years, I'm not quite sure yet. We're kind of predicting to be slightly under this year in the number of transactions that happened, but price to continue to remain fairly strong. Again, there's not a desperation for people to sell, so they don't have to bring price down necessarily. So, you know, when it comes to the number of transactions, we think probably a little bit less than last year, and the price will stay similar to where it's at.
We talk generally in terms of single homes, detached homes. There is a condominium market, of course, so it's smaller perhaps than other spots in the country, but what is pricing done on that?
Yeah, probably a little softer, and I would say that this is a little bit of a spillover from what's happening in Toronto, where they dramatically overbuilt their condo market, and they've seen prices come down quite dramatically in the GTA because of that. So there's just sort of a general trepidation around whether or not a condo is a good investment. I don't believe that's true in Halifax. I think it's a great investment in Halifax. We haven't had a lot of projects come online. You and I were talking just briefly as I walked in the door about where you're going to go if you're an empty nester. And sometimes the condo market solves that. So if we had a little bit more condo stock that was attractive there, then I think it might free up some of that blockage.
Okay, Matt, we'll get you in, next quarter, and we'll see if this is played out the way you thought.
My pleasure. It would be fun.
Matt Hansberger with Royal LePage. We'll take a break. We'll be right back after this. In health headlines tonight, a new study suggests autism diagnosis is often missed in girls until their teen years. CTV's Amanda Debison has more on that in the Monday edition of The Lifeline.
A new British medical journal study shows autism is often diagnosed later in life in girls, suggesting that some early signs can be missed. Researchers followed nearly 2 million children in Sweden for more than 30 years to see when autism was diagnosed. They found boys were more likely to be diagnosed in early childhood, but by age 15, autism was diagnosed at nearly the same rate in girls and boys. Experts say that suggests autism in girls may go unrecognized until later years. Out west, a robotic lab at UBC is at the center of a new push to track toxic drugs. The program uses chemistry and AI to analyze seized substances in detail. It can identify how drugs were made and help trace their movement over time. Police say the chemical fingerprinting could be as significant as DNA testing. The goal is to improve both investigations and public health responses. Finally, spring sports are in full swing. Experts say along with physical activity, sports can help children with their psychological well-being, communication skills, and character development. But it can also bring intense emotions for them to manage.
Sportsmanship, it certainly goes well beyond just playing the sport and athletics. It teaches our youth athletes life skills. It teaches the youth athlete compassion, empathy, respect for others.
This psychiatrist says parents can help teach children good sportsmanship by modeling the behavior they'd like to see. Think having a positive attitude and showing them how to win gracefully without being overly boastful, and to accept defeat with dignity.
When you're in the sidelines, make sure as a parent that you aren't yelling or criticizing any of the athletes, whether it's on, your child's team or the opponent's team.
Finally, she says to highlight an admired athlete or mentor who has good sportsmanship, because their actions can help young athletes aspire to that behavior. With Health and Medical News, I'm Amanda Debison for The Lifeline.
We're on the scene and on the ice in Halifax, where skating stars are kicking off another edition of Stars on Ice and the Tour. As CTV's Brianne Foley shows us, this year is all about celebrating national pride.
Stars on Ice is back again for another season, but this time it's brighter and bolder and bronzer than ever, and that's because we have bronze medal Olympians with us this time. We have Piper Gills as well as Paul Poirier. Guys, how does it feel to be part of this crew?
We look forward to coming on Stars on Ice. I think it's such an interesting energy when we don't have to be judged. We can just celebrate our skating, celebrate the fun of figure skating, and connect with our audience. And I don't know, it brings so much joy to us.
This year's theme is rightfully so, Olympians.
I think it's really exciting. We have all of our friends and teammates that are here. Yep. The entire Olympic team will be a part of the tour at some point, as well as Caitlin Osman and Elvis Stoico, who are also Olympic medalists. So it's a really strong gang, just the best Canadian skaters that we have. And we're just so excited to share this show with the country.
Mm-hmm. It's really cool because people literally just got to watch you guys at the Olympics in Milan, as well as bring home bronze, your first ever Olympic medal. What does this whole full circle moment mean to you?
I think it's just a celebration. I think it's taken 15 years of our career together to make a moment like that, and I think we really felt the impact of what we did. I think people we've never even met, message us and they're like, "Oh my God, we cried. I don't know who you are, but I felt so emotional." And I think being able to kind of share that moment with people all across Canada who loved that moment, I think will be so fun.
For Piper and Paul, spending time with their fellow skaters in this capacity brings another level to their sport.
We spent a month together on the road, so we really grow close and we really just share the moments of life together. And I think, skating is so special. We bring a lot of ourselves to the table. We have to be very vulnerable. And so I think that just creates a space for a really strong human connection.
A level they hope the next generation will feel too.
We as kids came to Stars on Ice and we saw, Kurt Browning, Elvis Stoico, and to be here with them is it's a dream come true. So we just hope that we can inspire next generation athletes to maybe be on Stars on Ice one day and fuel their dreams. Anything to add?
Yeah, no, she said it perfectly.
She said it all.
She said it all.
I love that. I love that you guys are so in sync and such a team. And just sharing this moment on the ice with everybody is so much fun. But I do need to get you guys to teach me something.
Push and bring your feet together and your arms in, and you're just
Hug
going
a
to make
bear.
the start turn.
Yeah.
Almost like start with your arms wide, like you're gonna twist and wind yourself up like a top.
Okay.
And then swing around and like squeeze a bit.
As I break the ice.
It's hard to like do this and this.
Okay, so I'm doing in.
Yeah, you got to bring your foot in, and that creates the momentum.
Okay, so we're out.
You can catch all the Olympic stars up close and personal Thursday when Stars on Ice premieres the 2026 season at Scotiabank Centre. Brianne Foley, CTV News, Halifax.
Step on the right foot. There we go.
Good for her. Okay, business report is next. Stay with.
Mornings with Aaron and Peter. What gets you up and out of bed every morning? Join us for that tomorrow at 6.
Maybe it's a chance to win $1,000, $1,000 minute tomorrow at 7.
In our business report, the Dow Jones started the new trading week flat. The annual rate of inflation ticked up last month, as we reported earlier. BNN Bloomberg's Lindsay Biscaya has more.
The annual rate of inflation accelerated 2.4% in March, up more than half a percentage point from February. StatsCan says the war in Iran sent fuel costs soaring 21.2%, the largest on record. The agency says if gasoline were taken out of the equation, inflation would have dropped to 2.2%. Food prices also remained elevated, with grocery costs up 4.4% from a year ago. Apple has named its next CEO. Hardware chief John Ternus has been named as the new leader, while Chief Executive Officer Tim Cook will be shifting to the role of executive chairman. Ternus will become CEO on September 1st. And Agnico Eagle is expanding in Finland with 3 deals valued at about $3.7 billion. The Toronto-based company will buy Rupert Resources and Orion Resources and will separately buy B2 Gold's 70% stake in an exploration joint venture with Orion. Agnico Eagle is now the second largest producer of gold in the world. And here are the closing numbers for the day. The Canadian dollar is up to 73.29. West Texas Intermediate climbed to 87.42. Western Canadian Select is down more than $7 to end the day. And the TSX closed the day higher, above 34,000 points. Those are your business headlines. I'm Lindsay Biscaya.
Thank you. Kayla Mitchell on the deck.
It's cool out here right now, Todd. And remember, for the Maritimes, we're headed into a chilly night. Now, speaking of things that are chilly, let's go to our viewer picture for tonight. And this comes in from Sunday. And this is the Polar Plunge taking place at North Rustico Beach, Prince Edward Island. I want to thank David Gladstone very much for sending in this picture. We can see all the participants there heading out into the waves. That is in support of Special Olympics Prince Edward Island. North Rustico for tomorrow. It's going to be a chilly start to the day and very cool in the afternoon. The high temperature expected only to be near 2 degrees in a light north wind. There will be some sunshine, though. Day planner for tomorrow around the Maritimes. Chilly start to the day for all 3 Maritime provinces. Partly cloudy conditions for the province of Nova Scotia. The afternoon for the Maritimes will be a mix of sun and cloud. There'll be some isolated showers or flurries in Nova Scotia. It's about a 20 or 30% chance for any given community. And across the region for tomorrow, most of the high temperatures top out around the low to mid single digits. Let's find out what's coming up on Your Morning Atlantic.
Tuesday on Your Morning Atlantic, it's time to rise together.
The Halifax Tides are getting ready for their home opener. You can win a chance to attend and cheer them on.
Start your morning with us Tuesday on Your Morning Atlantic on CTV2 and Crave.
And at 6 o'clock, we'll be speaking with the president of the Northern Super League. So that'll be an interview we're seeing. Finally, for us this evening, a weather delay at a baseball game is pretty common, right? You haven't seen this before. Check out what happened Saturday at a game in Wake Forest, North Carolina. At the top of the first, with 1 out, a dust devil, or a dustnado, spun its way across the field, forcing the players and coaches and umpire to run for shelter. The upside is no one was injured. It did knock over some tents on a neighboring field, and it gave everybody a really good story to tell when they get home. That is our look at the day here at home. Bruce Frisco has the late update at 11:30, ctvnewsatlantic.ca, and the CTV News app. Have updates anytime. I'm Todd Battis. Hope to see you right back here tomorrow night at 6. Until then, have a good night.
CTV News, the Maritime's #1 newscast. Watch live on Crave.